Hello! Hello! Hello, my lovely monsters, my goblins, ghouls, witches of internets. Yes, not just the internet, the internets. I am Anyo, your demons in a file. It's been a while. Not really a while, just how many days? That's the last time we streamed. It was on Saturday, right? Saturday? So, Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. About 4 days. About 4 days since we last streamed. I tell you guys, I think I told you, supposed to have like an apartment inspection, but didn't really go through. Well, it's called an inspection on the letter sheet, but the guy just changed the filter outside. So there's nothing to worry about, because they don't know to word their letters. Fuckers. Now, but I did get some good writing done for my Rama project. I didn't tell you guys real quick. Let me see. Did I take it off? Oh, here it is. Let's pull this back up. No, I'll just tell you my word count right now. Right now, I'm at 4,594 words. So not nowhere near close to the 50,000 marker. But I still got a month to go. But I finished the first chapter today. Or first episode. I don't know how I'm going to do it. This is really a hard, rough draft. This is not going to be the final project in any way whatsoever. But I'm going to try to start the chapter 2 probably tonight. See how much I can get done now. And then so we'll see what goes from there. But yeah, I thought we'd just do some Umineko, try to stream for the rest of the week. So we're probably going to do Umineko today and Sunday? Maybe. Hikarashi tomorrow. Then on Friday and Saturday, probably do a different game. Either go back to Spider-Man or Dead Space. One of the two. I forgot my drink. 1 second. Give me 1 minute. See, right back. Literally just disappeared for a moment. What the hell? Oh, the strap on my water bottle. It's wet. I got wet. Got wet when I was refilling it earlier. No, my bottom's not tilted to the side. Why would I do that? It looks so weird. So uncomfortable. Also, I was playing around with Vroid and not Vroid, VC Face, and looking at some props. And I found a couple fun things I can probably use. Of course, I want to test them all out and give credit to proper artists. How to, or however they want me to do it. Yeah, but fun things like little blankets, a pirate hat. Maybe some of them. Especially the pirate hat when we get later into this story, which is going to be very fun. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be hilarious. And maybe hopefully the more money starts coming back in, I can get some people to make my own kind of stuff. Who knows? We'll see. But let's get to moving on the game or book. Whatever. But you classify things as games or books. I think Umineko and Higurashi are more books because there's no choices in the matter. But other ones that like Danganronpa are definitely games. I even call maybe Doki Doki a game because there are some choices in Doki Doki. Not a lot, but they do change the story here and there. I'm rambling. Let's get to going. Start. Load. Alright, so last time we were here, what happened? So, we had the dinner scene with, yeah, everybody woke up after the horrible dinner. Klaus, who was it? Klaus, Rudolph, Ed, Kiri, Shannon, and Gorda. They know it's it? Yeah, they had to be it. Yeah, although we're missing. Oh, and Hideyoshi. All of them were missing. And they were found in the storage near the rose garden. Dead. Dismembered. Violently or mutilated. So everyone's in complete utter shock and dismay that several of their friends and family are gone forever. Particularly Battler and Jessica. One member of the family and staff who does not know anything about this is Maria, because she's a little girl. They want to protect her, so she's having blasts with watching cartoons. Actually, what anime do you think Maria's watching? Well, they never say anime, but I don't know. It'd be fun. Okay. Can check this in real quick. Nothing. Alright. Let's get back to the story. Oh yeah, when they also went to the dining hall, they found drops of blood, like, here and there. So maybe the murder took place in there, but the bodies were later moved to the storehouse. For the good old dismemberment and torture and bloodshed and Alright. Sorry. Give me 1 second, this thing's still popped up, I gotta check it. Alright, nothing. Sorry. Alright, let's go. Once in the hallway, we lent a hand to Kumasawa, who was still trembling and leaning against the wall. And we all headed back to the parlor together. Then Genji returned.
Oh, Genji-san.
Oh, Let's check this real quick. Make sure the audio is still good. Audio good. That good. Okay.
警察に連絡はつきましたか?
Were you able to contact the police?
それが申し訳ございません。
As for that, I'm afraid I must apologize. What happened?
無線機の故障か、それ以外の
I
理由
don't
によ
know
る
if
も
it
の
was
かわ
a
かりませ
failure
ん。
of the radio or something else that caused it, but
なんや、警察に連絡がつかんのか。
what the? So you couldn't contact the police?
電話も無線もどっちもダメなんか。
Both the radio and phone failed?
申し訳ございません。
My apologies.
月曜の朝に船が来ることになっていますので、
A boat will
その
arrive.
船の通信機を借りることができると思います。
A boat will be arriving on Monday morning, and I believe, will be able to borrow their communications equipment.
この島には船はないんか。
Isn't there a boat on this island?
新島の警察署までちょっくら行ってくることはできんのか。
Can't we just take a little trip out to the Nijama Police Department?
秀吉さん、この天気では無理だ。
That would be impossible with this weather.
少なくとも台風が通り過ぎるまではどうにもなりません。
At the very least, we can't do anything until the typhoon passes us by.
クラウス様のボートは今修理中で島にございません。
Kurosama's boat is being repaired and is not on the island.
ですので月曜の船を待つほかない。
Therefore, You must wait for the boat coming on Monday.
そんなアホな話があるか。
How could this happen?
6人も死んだやで。
6 people are dead.
そして電
The
話も無
phones
線
and
も通
radio
じず、
aren't
船も
working,
ない。
and there's no boat.
台風が過ぎて船が来るまで、つまり明日の朝までわしらは警察にも連絡できず、この島におれっちゅうことなんか。
So until the typhoon passes and the boat comes, in other words, until tomorrow morning, we're gonna be stuck here on this island, unable to contact police, aren't we?
ってことはつまり
Which means that
俺たちだけじゃなく
not just us,
おじさんたちを殺した犯人もこの島から出られず
but the killer,
足止めってこと
the
だ。
criminal who killed everyone, is also confined to this island.
そういうことになるね。
That certainly follows.
みんなを殺した犯人はまだこの島にいる。
The culprit who killed everyone is still here on the island.
親父たちを殺した奴は
The bastard who
こ
killed
の島
Dad
から逃げ
and
出
the
せず
others
まだ潜んでやがるってことかよ。
still be hiding somewhere, unable to escape?
くそくそくそくそ
Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!
見つけ出してやるぜ。
I'll catch that
警察になん
bastard.
か引き渡す
No
の
way!
よ。
I'll hand him over to the police.
私がこの手でやっつ
I'll
け
slice him to bits myself. Maria had finally realized that something odd was happening in the parlor. Rather than noticing something odd, it's probably better to say she felt unhappy and neglected, since everyone was getting so excited about something only she didn't know about.
おー、ジェシカお姉ちゃん、誰か死んじゃったの？
Jessica Oni-chan, did someone die? The way she spoke was completely calm. Just as I thought. She was talking about just as though she was talking about someone who had appeared on a television drama, as though it was someone else's problem. Jessica probably didn't like that. As though trying to say, "Can't you tell just by looking at me?" Overwhelmed with grief, she flared up at Maria.
死んじまったぜ。みんなみんな。
They all died. Everyone, everyone.
私の親父も
My
バ
dad
トラの父さんと
and
母さんも
Battler's parents,
幸田さんもシャドウも
Goda-san and Shannon,
そしてマリアの母さんも
even your mother too.
よすんだジェシカちゃん。
Stop it, Jessica-chan.
悲しいのは君だけじゃない。
You aren't the only one who's sad.
マリアさん、
Maria-san.
ショックだろうが、聞いてください。
I know this will come as a shock, but listen please.
あなたのお母さん
Your
が
mother
死んでしまいまし
has
た。
died.
ママが死んじゃった？
Mama died?
うーん。
Hmm.
ああ、
Yeah,
誰かに殺されちまった。
someone killed her.
悲しいだろうがよ。
I know it's
心をしっ
sad,
かり。
but stay strong.
ふん。何人
How many people
死んじゃった？
died?
6人だぜ。
6 people.
6人だ。
6 people.
くそく
Damn
そ
it.
くそ。
Damn it.
あんな
How
残酷
could
な
you
こと
do
しなか
something
った。
that cruel?
踊ってもんがあるだろうがよ。
There's a limit to how cruel you can be. If you're human,
誰だか知らねえ
I
が
don't know
犯
who it
人は人間
is,
じゃねえぜ。
but the culprit isn't human.
血の色が赤いわけがね
There's
え。
no way their blood is red.
うーん。
Oh no. Oh,
犯人は人間じゃない。
the culprit isn't human.
鍵が選んだ。生贄なだけ。
It was just a what? It was just was the blank chosen by the blank?
マリア、
Hey, Maria,
今、なんて言
did
った？
you say something just now? Maria had just say something. But since the words were so remotely separated from the flow and context of the conversation, I couldn't understand them for a second. When I tried to ask her to repeat it again, I was shocked by the sudden sound of Aunt Nasui's loud voice coming from the entrance to the parlor. It looked like Aunt Nasui and Aunt Ava had returned from their trip to see grandfather.
無線でも連絡できない？
You can't contact them, even with the radio?
こんな時に使えなくて
We can't use
何
it
のため
at a
の
time
防
like
災無線です
this.
か？
Why do we even have an emergency radio?
申し訳ございません。
My apologies.
毎年保守
We're
点検を
supposed to
さ
have
せ
a
ているは
maintenance
ずなのですが
inspection every year.
ほら、光をチカチカさせるみたいな船舶信号ってあるじゃない？
Wait, don't you have one of those boat signaling devices that make a flashing light?
そういうので向こうの島に連絡することはできないのかしら？
Couldn't you use that to contact the next island?
そのような設備はご
We
ざ
do
いま
not
せん。
have such equipment.
申し訳ございません。
My sincere apologies. Just then, Kumasawa arrived, pushing a serving cart loaded with breakfast. Since there was no way we'd be able to eat in the dining hall, Hideyoshi had ordered her to take it to the parlor.
なぜ朝食をこちらに？
Why are we eating breakfast here?
ああ、夏日さん、それは後で話す。
Asui-san, I'll tell you later.
それよりエヴァ、
More importantly,
お父さんはどうなんや？
Ava, how's father?
ご一緒でないところを見ると、
Judging by the fact that he is not with you,
この
it
ような事
seems
態
he
に
will
なっ
not
ても
leave his room.
部屋から出ません
Not
か？
even for a situation like this.
いないわ。
He wasn't there.
部屋は空っぽだったの
The
よ。
room was empty. The water sound, the drip.
なんやて？
What the?
こんな時にど
Where
こ
could you
行っ
have
たん
gone
や？
at a time like this?
親方様が書斎を出られたと
Do
い
you
うの
mean
で
to
すか？
say the master has left his study?
そうです。
That's correct.
私も驚いています。
I was surprised myself.
いつの間に部屋を出たのやら。
I wonder when he left his room.
あなたたちに心
Do
当
you
た
have
りは
any
ないのです
idea?
か？
Nasui looked at Genji and Kanan as she said this. Maybe she was trying to ask whether the servants who served directly under the One-Winged Eagle knew of a place he might go. However, it was probably the other way around. Their faces made it clear that those who knew Kenzo best revealed even more than the rest how impossible it was for him to leave his room.
僕たちにも見当がつきませ
Even
ん。
we have no idea.
ご存知の通り、
As you all know,
親方様はあの書斎
within
の
that
中で
study,
お休みの
master
場所
had
から
everything
ご不浄まで
from a
全てを
place to
設け
sleep
させました。
to a bathroom.
親方様があの部屋をお出になることなどよっぽどのことがない限り
I couldn't imagine him leaving that room, except for a significant reason.
となると、なんや？
In that case, what?
そのよっぽどのことがあったって考
Isn't
え
it
るの
natural to
が
assume that
自
one
然だ
of
っちゅうことになるんか？
those significant reasons came up?
まだそうと決まったわけではありません。
We still cannot be certain that's the case.
とにかく気まぐれな方ですから。
He
現
is
状を
a
ご存知な
fickle
く、
person.
お一人で散歩をされている
So
可
it's
能性もあり
possible
ます
he。went for a walk by himself, unaware of the current situation.
仮にそうだとしたら、一刻も早く現状をお知らせして、ご指示を仰がねばなりません。
If that's the case, we must all act in haste to tell him what has happened and ask for instructions.
そうね。
That's right.
考えたくはないけど。
Although I
お
don't
父
want to
様の
think
身に
about it.
何かあったのかもしれないしね。
It's possible something has happened to him, isn't it?
そのような不吉なことは考えたくもありません。
I'd rather not even consider such a sinister possibility. No one has seen Kenzo since the discovery of those 6 terrible corpses. On top of that, the phones were broken, the radio wouldn't reach anyone, and there was no way to contact the police. Apparently, the typhoon would leave tomorrow and a boat would come. But until then, no one could rely on anyone outside the island, nor could they escape the island. The tragedy had hit everyone so abruptly that they lost all their composure. Everyone felt a heavy silence. Everyone was impatient. Even though they needed to do something, they couldn't think of anything. Some of them held their heads in their arms, while others got irritated. Right now, no one could explain what was occurring on this island, Rokimajima. What's happening? Well, we got a blank screen. Up. After that, we ate the breakfast Kumasawa-san had made, which felt dry and tasteless. Of course, this was right after something like that had happened. No one felt particularly hungry. However, we understood logically that not eating would weaken our bodies. It would also be rude to Kumasawa-san, who made the breakfast. Kumasawa-san had taken some unusual Western vegetables, ones that Golda had probably ordered, for his ultra-elaborate meals, and cooked them in a Japanese style, which made them turn an unpleasant color. Ew, what'd she do? What'd she do? As to what Golda-san had been planning to cook with those ingredients, right then, I couldn't even imagine it. If I think about it, I'd be reminded of the way Golda-san died, and a sour taste would fill my mouth. Everyone pretended to eat for the time being, but of course no one made much progress. Then when we began pooling our knowledge of current situation. First off, 6 people, which included Uncle Cross, my dad, Kiri-san, Aunt Rosa, Golda-san, and Shana-chan, had been found in the Rose Garden storehouse as brutally mutilated corpses. And yet, we still couldn't contact the police, since both the phones and radio were unstable. Unusable. Other thing off screen. So until the typhoon passed, there was nothing we could do. Furthermore, Grandfather, who we might hope would be able to show a little leadership in this kind of situation, had disappeared some time ago. Golda-san hadn't made breakfast, so Grandfather's stomach must have been empty. And if he had just been taking a casual walk, we should have been able to hear him whining about how hungry he was by now. And despite that, he hadn't appeared. There was more than a small chance that he'd gotten caught up in this crime. According to my aunts, on their way back from Kenzo's study, they searched for him, calling out on every floor, but were unable to find him. Considering the timing of all, it's only reasonable to assume that he disappeared, had something to do with the crime. We figured Dad and the rest were probably killed in the dining hall, and then painstakingly moved to the storehouse. So maybe Grandfather had already been killed, and dragged to some strange place, which we simply haven't discovered yet. No one said it out loud, but this theory seemed extremely convincing.
私たちはお屋敷の戸締まりを確認してきます。
We will go check that all the windows and doors are locked.
お父様も念入りに探さなければなりません。
We must also conduct a thorough search for father.
子供たちはこの部屋を出ないように。
The children must remain in this room.
エヴァさんと秀吉さんは申し訳ありませんが、ここで子供たちと一緒にいてください。
Eva-san and Hideyoshi-san, I'm sorry for... I'm sorry. Oh, fuck! Sorry! Oh, no, hit the microphone, hit the microphone. Oh god, that probably hurt your ears. That probably hurt. Put this right here. Huh. I just noticed something weird on the screen. One second. Oh, I thought he did this. Why can't I see a little edge of this side? No. Transform, Daniel. Where are you? Huh. So there's this little thing right here. Is that part of this? Oh, it is. So this part is like a glitch. Oh, there you go. It went away. Okay, it went away. Never mind. I freaked out over nothing.
南條先生もお願いいたします。
I'd like to ask you the same, Dr. Nanjo.
わかりました。
Alright. I understand.
ここでお待ちしています。
I will wait here. Aunt Natsui, follow the servants, Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Kano-kun out of the parlor. All that was left was Aunt Eva, Uncle Hideyoshi, Dr. Nanjo, and the 4 of us children. A total of 7 people.
みんなで仲良くテレビでも見て待ってよな。
Let's all sit together and maybe watch some television while we wait.
しかし、日曜日の午前中はろくな番組やっとらへんな。
So I doubt we'll find anything good in the middle of the day on a Sunday. Uncle Hideyoshi started acting cheerfully, trying to brighten up this gloomy atmosphere.
楽な番組見る見る。
Good show. Watch it.
お、
Oh,
そうか。
really?
マリアちゃんはテレビ見るか。
You wanna watch TV, Maria-chan?
じゃ、おじさんと一緒に見よう
Come and
な。
watch it with your uncle. Maria was the only one who joined in. Even though Maria had been told of her mother's death, she didn't even show the slightest flicker in her emotions. Was it really normal for a 9-year-old girl like Maria to act so much like a very young child? Everyone's mood failed to improve, and they each sank absent-mindedly into the sofas.
兄貴
Aniki,
聞いていいか
can I ask you something?
なんだい
What is it?
さっき倉庫で
Just now, in the storehouse,
兄貴はシャノンちゃんの指輪の話をして
you
る
said something about Shana-chan in a ring.
あれ
Did
送ったのは
you give that to her?
兄貴か
George Aniki didn't answer, but he hung his head and closed both of his eyes. There could be no clear response.
よせよパトラ
Quit it, Battler.
少しは察しろよ
Figure it out yourself. You're right.
悪いことを聞いたぜ
I shouldn't have asked.
そうさ
That's right.
僕だよ
It was me.
彼女に
Last night,
夕べ求婚したんだ
proposed to her.
その時指輪を
That's when
渡
I
した
gave her the ring.
明日になったら
I told her that tomorrow
それを好きな指にはめて
she should put it on whatever finger she wanted
返事としてくれって
as her answer.
キザった
I
らしい
guess
こ
it
と
was
を
a
言って
pretty pretentious thing to say. And that ring had been on the ring finger of Shannon-chan's left hand. Well,
私さ、数年前からシャドウ
several
に
years
相談
ago,
を受けてたぜ。
Shannon came to me asking for advice
ジョージ兄さんのことでさ。
about you, George Nissan.
なんて言ってたのかな。
I wonder what she could have said.
シャノンは嘘をつくのが下手だったからよ。
Shannon was always really bad at lying.
ジョージ兄さんのことを言ってるの
It
は
was
すぐに
obvious
バレバレで
pretty
さ。
quickly that you were the one she was talking about.
自分は
She asked whether it'd be okay for her to get close to someone,
使用人の身分だけど
even though
親しくしてもいいのだろうかとか、
she was only a servant.
男の人の好きそうなも
She
のは
asked
何かとか、
what kind of things boys like,
どういう服を着たら喜ぶ
what
か
kind
と
of
か、
clothes she should wear to make them happy.
そんなことをいろいろとさ。
Lots of stuff like that.
な
Well,
んつうのか、
I
その
guess you could say
まあ焼けたぜ。
I felt envious hearing her say that.
それが
So
婚約指輪を渡されて、
so then, when she was given the engagement ring,
おしまいかよ。
it all ended right there.
価値観は人それぞれだけどよ。
Different people valued things differently,
男から求婚されるっての
but
は
being proposed to by a man,
人生の到達点なんだと
well,
思うんだよ。
it can be the high point of your life. So
だからきっと
I'm sure
昨夜のシャ
last
ノンは
night, I'm sure Shannon was happy
心の底から
from the bottom of my heart,
生まれてから今までの中で
from the bottom of her heart,
一番幸せだったと思うぜ。
happier than she's ever been since the day of her birth. George Nikki sighed deeply, without raising his head. Or maybe tears risen to his eyes.
シャノンは昨べゲストハウスの当
It
番だった
seems
らしいんだ。
Shannon was on duty in the guest house last night,
でも
but
シャノンは
because
僕
she
と
was
一緒
too
に
embarrassed to go back
ゲ
to
スト
the
ハウス
guest
に
house
帰るの恥ずかしかった。
with me,
お屋敷に行ってしまった。
she went over to the mansion.
シャノンの気持ちを察しろよ。
Think about how Shannon must have felt.
婚約指輪をもらえば
You
どんな
receive
に
an
予告されて
engagement
たっ
ring,
て普通は舞い上
no
がっちま
matter
って
how much warning you've
頭
been
は真っ
given
白になっちまうぜ。
beforehand. It's perfectly normal to get so excited that your mind goes blank.
気恥ずかしくて仕方なかったんだろうよ。
She must have been incredibly embarrassed.
それでシャノンは
Shannon
当番でないはずのお屋敷へ行き、
went to the mansion, even though she hadn't been assigned there.
そこでゴーダさんの仕事を手伝い、
Helped Golda-san with his work.
事件に巻き込まれて
She
しまっ
got
た。
caught up in this crime.
僕が
If only I hadn't
あの日
given her that ring
あの場所で
on that day
指輪なんか渡さなければ、
in that place.
シャノンは
Shannon wouldn't have.
サヨは
Saya wouldn't have
事件に巻き込ま
been
れな
caught
かっ
up
た
in
んだ。
that crime.
兄貴、
George's VA. Well, there wasn't an explosive performance, but you can hear the sadness all the same. And Ikki,
それだけは違うぜ。
that's the one place where you're wrong.
断じて違う。
It's definitely wrong.
だから
So don't
それ以上
cry
泣くんじゃ
anymore.
ね
Shannon was enjoyed when
バ
it
トラー
happened.
君
That's all you need to know, George. That Shannon Sayo was happy. Batlakun,
そっとしてあげなさい。
let's leave him be. Aunt Ava said that. After Aunt Ava said that, I stopped talking to him. Misplaced words of comfort might actually do more harm than good. Jessica sat down next to Akinyi and put her arm around him. Maybe only Jessica, who had known about Akinyi and Shannon's love since the beginning, who had even discussed that relationship with Shannon, could comfort Aniki now. I went over to Aunt Ava and sat down in the opposite sofa.
バトラ君は強いわね。
Butler-kun, you really are strong.
もうだいぶしっかりしているように見えるわよ。
It looks like you kept a good hold of yourself.
まあ、
well.
ほら
Look,
愛の深さが傷の深さじゃないですか。
the death of love becomes the death of the wound. Right?
俺は別にあん
After
なクソ
all,
親父同志の方が知ったことじゃないし、
it's not like how that old bastard died has anything to do with me.
キリエさんは気の毒ですが、
I feel bad about
本当の親
Kiri-san,
ってわけじゃないですしね。
but, well, she wasn't actually my parent.
あら
My.
という割にはさっきすっ
Is
ご
that
く大泣きして
so?
たわよ。
You certainly were crying a lot back then.
まあ育ての親に対する恩は
I did think at least that much crying was due to as gratitude to the parents who raised me. The parent who raised me.
そのあたりの切り替えの速さやドライなあたりは本当にルドルフ譲りね。
The speed of that changeover in that dry tone must have come from Rudolph.
あの子は昔から激しく喜んだり悲しんだり怒ったりしたけれど、
That kid would always get violently happy, sad, and angry.
すぐにケロリと平静を
But
取
he
り
would
戻
always
したわ。
regain his cool immediately afterwards.
そんなことはないっすよ。
Nothing like that.
俺だってまだ
I
まだ心
haven't
のショックから
really
立ち直
been
れちゃい
able
ま
to
せん。
get over the shock yet.
ただ俺がみんなと違
I
うの
think the
は
only difference between me
それによって
and
どう
everyone
いう感情が生み出されるかってこ
is
と
the
だと思いま
kinds
す。
of emotions stirred in me.
どういうこと？
What do you mean? I've been acting much calmer than George, Nikki, and Jessica. That wasn't because my sadness was any less intense, or because I already recovered. My sadness was simply getting replaced, gradually with a different emotion.
悲しいっていうよりは
Rather than sad,
腹立たしいって気持ちなんすよ。
I say I'm more pissed off.
どこのドイツがこんなことをしやがっ
What
たら
bastard did this? And where?
横っ面に一発お見舞いしてやらないことには
It's kind of been eating at me that I didn't get a chance to smack him upside the face. That was what I really wanted to do. I couldn't forgive myself if I just sat there, overwhelmed with sadness and hugging my knees.
親父たちが殺されて以降この島は
Since the time Dad and the others were killed, this island has been covered by the typhoon.
つまりこれだけの上等を決めてくれやがった
Which
野郎
means
は
the bastard responsible
ま
for
だこの
all
島の
this
中にいるってことで
is
す。
still somewhere on this island.
そういうことになるわね。
Yes, that would seem to be the case.
今も暗い森のどこかに身
I
を潜
wonder
め
if
てる
they're
のか
hiding
しら。
somewhere in the dark forest even now. I felt like I had a very similar conversation with Kiri-san the night before. That's right. After the letter from the person claiming to be Beatrice appeared at the dining hall last night. Dining table. You talked about whether or not a 19th person actually existed.
エヴァおばさん
Aunt Ava,
この殺人
do you think this murder
昨夜のベアトリーチェの手紙
has
と
anything to do with the letter
何か
from
関連があるんでしょう
Beatrice
かね
last night?
ああ、
Ah, that one.
さあ、
Well,
どうかしら
I
ね。
wonder.
あの手紙はお父様が遺産問題に絡みたくて出した怪文書という見方で兄弟は一致したんだけれども、
All the siblings agree that the mysterious letter was sent to further complicate the problem of father's inheritance.
それと今朝の事件に関係があるかは
As to
今の
whether
段
that
階では分かりかね
and
る
the
わね。
case that this morning are related, it's impossible to tell at this stage.
あの手紙本当にベアトリーチェなんて魔女がマリアに渡したんすかね
Was that letter really given to Maria by some witch called Beatrice?
まさか
How could it be?
全部お父様の仕組んだ茶番でしょ。
All of it was a farce devised by father, wasn't it?
シャノンちゃんあたりに肖像画のドレスを着させてマリアちゃんを騙したんでしょ。
He made Shannon-chan or someone wear the dress from the portrait and trick Maria-chan, right?
お父様らしい手の込みすぎたいた
Isn't
ずら
that
だ
just
と
the
思う
kind
けど
of overly intricate prank father would pull?
昨べキリエさんとベアトリーチェは実在するんだろうかって話をしたんすけど
Last night, I talked with Kirei-san about whether Beatrice could actually exist.
キリエさんも俺たち18人の中にベアトリーチェがいるだろうと言ってましたね
And Kirei-san also said that Beatrice was probably one of the 18 of us.
そんなの当然じゃない。
Isn't that obvious?
この島には私たちしかいないのよ。
There's no one else on this island besides us, right?
なら私たちの中の誰かが
And there must
ベ
be
アトリ
someone
ーチェを
among
語っ
us
たに決まっ
who's
てるじゃない。
pretending to be Beatrice.
この島には俺たち以外はいない
There's no one else but us on this island.
すか
Do you think?
当然でしょ。
Obviously, right?
私たち以外の誰がここ
Are
にい
you
るっていうの？
saying there could be someone else here than us?
この島には私たちしかいない。
No one is on this island except us.
18人しかい
There are
ない。
only 18 people here.
ならベアトリーチェを語るのも18人の中の誰かしかい
So,
ないじゃな
the
い。
one pretending to be Beatrice has to be one of those 18. Kira-san denied the existence of a 19th person by spinning the chessboard around. Even though Aunt Ava hadn't constructed an argument that complicated her opinion, her opinion at least was the same. Except, if that's the case, our situation starts looking very ugly. At the time of Beatrice's letter, the whole thing could be passed off as a prank, set up by someone or another. However, if we're assuming that there is no 19th person, we can't ignore this anymore. In other words,
19人目がいないなら
if there's no 19th person,
親父たちを殺した犯人も18人の中にいるってことになっちまうじゃ
then
ない
the
ですか
culprit who killed Dad and the others is also one of the 18. Right.
つまり
So,
今この屋敷にいる誰かが殺したってことになる
so in other words, the person who killed them is one of the people inside this very mansion. Right now. Aunt Ava smiled meaningfully. It looked like she thought this conclusion should have been obvious from the very beginning.
犯人は倉庫の中に6
The
人の
culprit
遺体
carried
を
the
運び
bodies
込ん
of
だわ。
those 6 into the storehouse.
でも
But
よ
even
く
that
倉
was
庫
an
の
impressive
中に
feat,
運び込めたわよね。
don't you think?
あのシャッターは常に
That
閉められ
shutter
てい
is
て
always
施錠され
closed
てい
and
たそう
locked,
よ。
right?
つまり
In other words,
倉庫内に
In
運
order
び
to
込む
carry
には
them
シャ
into
ッ
the
ターの
storehouse,
施錠を開ける必要があっ
the
た。
culprit would need to unlock the shutter.
わかる？
Understand?
たまたまその日シャッターが開けっぱなしになってた可能性は
Is it possible the shutter was left open by mistake that day?
使用人たちは常に閉めてい
The
ると言っ
servant
てた
said it's
わ。
always kept locked.
つまり
In other words,
鍵を使用
unless the
人
culprit
室から
took the
持ち
key
出さ
from
な
the
くては
servant
倉
room,
庫は絶対に開けられ
there's
ない。
no way they could open the storehouse.
鍵は使用人室の一つしかないん
I
すか
wonder
ね
if the key in the servant room was the only one.
源氏さんはそうだと言ってるわ。
Genji-san said that was the case,
ということは犯人はそのたっ
which
た一
means
つの倉庫
the
の鍵
culprit
がある
knew
と知って
where
いて持ち
that
出した。
single key was kept and took it.
さっき
Just now,
カノン君が使
I
用人
watched
室
when
に
Kanon
鍵を
Kun
戻す
returned
と
the
ころを
key
見たわ。
to the servant's room.
壁にびっしりと鍵がかけられていて、とても素人にはどこに何がかけてあるのかわからなかった。
The wall was packed with keys, and I don't think a novice would know where or what those keys went to.
犯人はその
The
中から
culprit
倉庫
was
の鍵を見
miscellaneous.
事選び出したのよ。
The culprit was miraculously able to find the storehouse key among all those.
しかも
Furthermore,
札も何も
even
つ
though
い
the
ていな
key
い
didn't
鍵を
have
手
a
にして
tag or
バラ庭園
anything
裏にある
sticking
倉
to
庫の
it,
鍵だと理解した。
they knew it was the key to the storehouse behind the rose garden.
ついでに言うと倉庫の場所す
And
ら
that
理解してい
means
た。
they also knew where the storehouse was.
もっとはっきり断言するわ。
I'll say clearer.
犯人は使用
The
人室の
culprit
内部にも
knew
熟
that
知している。
knew the inside of the servant's room well. Her argument was extremely plain and clear. If the bodies had been found somewhere in the bushes of the rose garden, there wouldn't have been much to go on. However, if there was only one key to the storehouse in the servant room, and it was stored with such a large group of keys, a novice would not be able to tell them apart. This means the culprit was someone who went into the servant room a lot and was familiar with the location of the keys. The family members didn't normally go into the servant room, which meant that,
ってことは
which means that
使用人の誰かが
one of the servants is
犯人
the culprit.
悪いけどそれ以上はお
I'm
ばさんも
sorry,
言えないわよ。
but even I can't tell you any more than that.
でも
However,
一つだけ教えられることがあ
I'll tell
る。
you one thing.
なんすか
What's that?
犯人、犯人たちは複数で、そして十分な武装をしていたと考えられるわ。
It's reasonable to think that the culprits are multiple in number and fairly well armed.
だってそうでしょ。
They have to be, wouldn't they?
食堂にいた兄さんたち4人を一度に襲って殺し、合計6人分の遺体をようようとバラ庭園の向こうの倉庫まで運んで、悪趣味な化粧と落書きを施している。
They had to assault the four in the dining hall and kill them, drag a total of 6 bodies all the way to the storehouse beyond the rose garden, and arrange for that disgusting makeup and the graffiti on the shutter.
これだけのことを単独犯で行えるは
There's
ず
no
もない
way
で
that a
しょ。
single culprit could carry all that out on their own, right? It makes sense. It probably would have been possible for a single person with enough time, but it would take so incredibly long. It's probably safe to assume that a significant number of people were involved.
ひゅー
Whew.
ってことは
So,
エマおばさんは
what you're saying
使用人の人
That
たちがみ
maybe
んな
all of
グ
the
ルだろう
servants
って
were
言ってんすか。
in cahoots?
静かになさいな。
Please, keep it quiet.
憶測で言っちゃ悪いわ
It
よ
wouldn't be right to voice mere speculation like this.
それにもし本当
And
に
if it
そう
really
だ
is
ったらどう
true,
するつもり？
what will you do next?
彼らは私たちを生か
They
して
might
返
not
さ
let us
ないで
leave
しょ
here
うね。
alive.
しかも
This is an
兄さんたち4人をやすやすと殺した相手なのよ。
This is an opponent who had no trouble killing Nissan and the others.
今この部屋に残ってい
Right now,
てまともに戦
The
い
only
そう
ones
な
that
人
can
間
count to
は
fight with me
う
are the
ちの
three
家
in
族
my
の3
family.
人にせいぜいバトラ君
And
の
maybe
4
you.
人ってところ。
This comes to a total of 4 people, right?
状況は昨晩と何も変わらない。
We are no better off than they were last night.
つまり
In short,
犯人にとって
It
残
would
る
be
私
easy
た
for
ちを
the
皆
culprit
殺
to
しにするなん
massacre
て
the
簡
rest of
単な
us.
ことなのよ。
I've been playing detective with Aunt Ava, trying to expose the person who had killed Dad and the rest before the police did. If only I could cleverly penetrate the culprit's identity and stick to the proof in their face. I've been so sure that, just like one of those detective movies, the culprit would then give up and surrender. However, the culprit would only surrender if there was no way for them to fight back. The culprits behind the crime on this island were far from helpless, and might even be able to massacre all the remaining people here. And on top of that, this island was like a giant closed room, cut off from the outside world by the typhoon. So, they had a full day until tomorrow to kill, scheme, and camouflage themselves. And in short, it wasn't a safe atmosphere where we could get a very far by playing detective. To the contrary, we were at a stage where we had to be scared stiff, since playing detective might displease the culprits and cause them to commit another mass murder.
あくまでも可能性の問題よ。
It's just a possibility, right?
でも私は使用人の人たちをまだ信用できないわね。
But I can't bring myself to trust the servants yet.
それに私は使用人だけを疑ってる
And
わ
that
け
doesn't
じゃ
mean
な
I
い。
only suspect them.
さらに黒幕がいるかもしれないと
Don't
思っ
you
て
think
る
there
わよ。
might be some mastermind behind all this?
黒幕？
A mastermind.
どうしてですか？
Why do you say that?
勘よ。
Just a feeling.
使用人は書いて字の
Think
ご
about
と
what
し、
the word servant literally means.
誰かに使用されて手足となる存
It
在。
means someone who serves as someone else's arms and legs, right?
殺されたのは後宮家の親族ばかり
There's a bunch of Ushimiya family members who got killed.
なら、その結果で利害
So
が発生
naturally,
する人間
there
が
must be
関わ
someone
るのは当
involved
然。
who stands to gain from that result. This was also plain and clear. The Ushimiya family had been right in the middle of discussions about how to distribute the inheritance when grandfather died. In this case, followed by the standard form of any classic mystery novel. The crime was definitely caused by someone with ties to the Ushimiya family, and who was involved in the inheritance problem. Aunt Ava had probably read a few books in that genre herself. Her argument may have had a few blind assumptions, but it was a standard conclusion that anyone might have reached. I think most people would end up suspecting the servants, even if they used different reasoning to get there. Especially the story about the key to the shutter. That made it very easy to suspect that one of the servants was involved.
だから
And that's why
なぜか気に入らない
I
ですよ
don't like
ね
it.
気に入らないって？
What do you mean you
何の話？
don't like it?
あ、いえいえ、こっちの話っす。
Just talking to myself. I tried to dodge her question by joking, but I couldn't erase the sense of unease welling up inside me. After all, her conclusion was such an easy one to reach. A conclusion that anyone could reach. And I just couldn't be satisfied with that. If I tried spinning the chessboard around, like I learned from Kire-san, this was exactly why a servant couldn't possibly be the culprit. It'd be too damn easy. Sorry, choking in the water. The servants really were the culprit. They wouldn't hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves. Sorry. It's like it's right there and like I feel like I can feel the drop of water. Alright, the air pipe. This funky feeling. If the servants really were the culprits, they wouldn't hide the bodies in a place connected to themselves. Why on earth would they use the rose garden shed if they were the ones in charge of the key that could unlock it? What the heck? There you go. The police would probably immediately pursue whoever had been in control of the key. It was even possible that some other facts might come to light as a result. The more we think of the servants as the culprits, the less reason they had to carry the bodies into the storehouse. But what if they knew we think that, and put the corpses in the storehouse for that very reason? No, that's completely impossible. When the police come and inspect the scene of the crime, they'll probably be able to uncover many things. No matter how carefully the culprit carried out that murder, some traces will definitely be around. In other words, they had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If you think about it this way and look at this murder game from the culprit's side, it's hard to imagine why they want to call attention to the corpses. Once the corpses were found, it could result in someone sending a report to the police, or it might make the remaining people get cautious. Or it might make the survivor start to search for the culprit. None of these things would make life any easier for the culprit. It's just like the words of the main character's mother in a novel I read recently called Higurashi no Nakokoro ni. Oh my goodness, Higurashi Nakokoro ni. That sounds like a very interesting novel, don't you think, guys? I don't think I ever read that before. Every story needs to have a beginning, middle, and an end. Eliminating that beginning is essential for the perfect crime. Right now, we don't know where grandfather is, and don't know if he's already become a victim or he's with one of the culprits. But this state of confusion must be beneficial to the killer. The magic circle. The culprit had absolutely nothing to gain by showing us the bodies in such an obvious way and making us realize there has been a murder. In fact, this is the perfect place to spin the chessboard around. In other words, showing us the corpses in such a flashy way must be the culprit's goal in and of itself. So at the very least, to the culprit, the appearance of 6 corpses, that they're meant more than the death themselves. In other words, the culprit wanted this murder on display. To whom? To us? This is the message. The culprit's trying to shove something in our faces. I don't know what it is. At this point, this vulgar mass murder isn't making me feel anything except a malice detected towards all of us. Malice towards all of us. Is it? the noise. I like the ticking nest. Each one of the survivors had been kind of connect. Each one of the survivor had some kind of connection to the ones of the 6 victims. Uncle Kraus' death brought Jessica to the grief of losing a family member. The death of Dad and Kiri-san brought me sorrow, while Aunt Rose's death brought Maria sorrow. Goda-san's death would probably shock his fellow servants. Shan-chan's death brought grief both to George and Nikki, who had proposed to her, and Kanekun, who had loved her like an older sister. Everyone now on this island had received an equal amount of sadness. Aunt Ava was sure that the servants were in cahoots. But then, how could you explain the death of Goda-san and Shannon-chan? At any rate, by this argument, the grief caused by the 6 deaths hit everyone but Aunt Ava and Uncle Hideyoshi. Even Aunt Ava, who had directed suspicion at the servants, had acted as though she herself was beyond suspicion. Oh, Aunt Ava, did you do something nasty? Did you? Could not be ruled out as suspect. Well, what do you guys think? You think Aunt Ava is a suspect in this game? In the first place, she was able to argue that the servants were suspicious by focusing on the shutter's key. But if you look at it from a perspective of motive, and who would gain, Aunt Ava's name rises to the top of the list. Uh-oh.
バトラ君が何を考えてる
Oh
か
God.
おばさんわかるわよ。
Can she read our minds? She can read our minds? I ain't thinking nothing, Aunt Ava.
What?
Oh
嫌だな。
no, no.
内緒にしててくだ
Please
さい
don't
よ。
tell anybody.
あんなことやこんなことで頭をいっぱいにしてた
But
な
oh,
んて。
my head is so full of obscene things.
私がこの殺人で一番得を
I
す
am
る。
the one who's going to gain the most from these murders.
どうせ疑われるだろうから先に
Since
自
I'm
己
going to be
申告しておく
suspected,
わ。
anyway, I might as well get it out in the open. I tried to dodge the issue by joking around, but apparently it didn't work.
遺産は兄弟の数で分割する。
The inheritance will be divided into as many parts as there are siblings.
でも今や4兄弟は私一
But
人。
right now, I'm the only one left of the 4.
後ろ宮家の全財産
All
は
the assets of the
全
Ushimiya
て
family
私のもの
will
になる
become
の。
mine.
秀吉おじさんが聞いたら予算か言えば車
If
輪が
uncle,
っていうところっすね。
his uncle Hideyoshi heard you. He said, "Could you give it a rest? It's not funny."
ごめんね。
I'm sorry.
どう取り繕ったってどう
I
せ
was
疑われ
fooling
るだろうから
around since I'm
ふざ
going
け
to
ただけ
be
よ。
suspected. No matter how much I try to smooth it over.
だからこの殺人は私の立場から見れ
That's
ば
why
私
from
を
my point of
疑わせるためのものではないか
this
と思
murder
って
may
る
have
の。
been designed to cast suspicion on me.
困ったことに昨べのアリバイは弱いわ。
Unfortunately, my alibi for last night is weak.
聞かせてもらってもいいっすか？
Could you tell me a bit more
夕べのことを。
about last night?
バトラ君たちも知ってい
As you
る
know,
通り、
the
兄弟
discussion
が遺
between
産
the
をどう食い
siblings
ち
of
ぎり合
how
う
to
か
slice
と
up
いう
and
話し合い
eat
は
the inheritance
深夜まで続いたわ。
continued until late in the night.
でも何時まで続いたかは知らない。
But I don't know how late it lasted.
私と主人は朝が早かったからね。
My husband and I woke up early that morning.
もう眠くて24時を過ぎたあたりで
We
抜
were
けさせ
so
てもらったの。
sleepy. In the past midnight, they let us go.
そしてゲストハウスに戻って休んだわ。
We then returned to the guest house and rested there.
それを 秀吉おじさん以外の誰かに
anyone
証
other
明
than
できるっすか？
Uncle Hideyoshi prove that?
いやいや、別にエヴァおばさんを疑ってる
No,
わけじ
wait.
ゃないっすよ。
It's not like I suspect you or anything, okay?
あら、どうだった？
Are you sure about that? Why is she on their side like she's circling us?
証明になるかわからないけれど、ゲストハウスに戻ってきた時、
I don't know if
ゲ
it
ンジさんに
counts
出
as
迎えを
proof,
受けてタオルはいるかと聞かれた
but
わ。
when we returned to the guest house, we were greeted by Genji-san, who asked if he needed a towel.
だから私たちがゲストハウスに戻ってきた時間は24時過ぎだと証明し
I
てくれ
think
ると
that
思う
should
わ
be
よ。
enough to prove we returned to the guest house a little after midnight.
もっとも私の仮説通り使用人たちもグルなのだとしたら
if my theory was
こんなのアリバイにならないけどね。
The servants would all be in cahoots, and that wouldn't actually make for much of an alibi.
確かにそうっすね。
Hey, you got a point there.
ってことは、俺、今、真犯人
I
と
guess that
推理ごっ
means
こをしてるってことに
I'm
なるん
playing
すか？
detective with the real culprit right now, huh?
でも私の名誉のために言わせてもらうけ
However,
ど、
let me say
遺
this for my
産目
honor's
当てだっ
sake.
たならこんな変な殺人はしないわよ。
If I was after the inheritance, I never commit such a bizarre set of murders.
だって遺産相続権を喪失させるだけならどんな死に方だって構わ
After
ない。
all, if I just wanted to make them forfeit their rights to the inheritance, it wouldn't matter to me how they died.
むしろ事故死に見せかけた方がスマートでしょ。
It'd be much smarter of me to try to make their deaths look like accidents.
使用人たちを抱き込んで周到に計画していたならなおさらそうする
Especially
でしょう
assuming I laid
よ。
out some careful plan that involved even the servants.
確かに、そうっすね。
You kind of point there.
営利で人を殺す
Your
なら、
killing is one of her
それ
personal
は常に
gains.
殺人に見せる
You
べきでは
definitely
ない。
shouldn't make it look like a murder.
そういうことよ。
Exactly.
だからおばさんは
That's
今
why
か
I'm
ら
such
と
in
て
a
も
blue
ブルー
mood.
な気持ちなわけ。警察には
The
黒
blues
幕
will
扱い
probably
され
treat
て
me like the
散々
mastermind
調べられ
and
るでしょうね
investigate。all kinds of things.
やだやだ。
No fun at all. Aunt Ava shrugged with a bitter smile. It was just as easy to suspect Aunt Ava as it was to suspect the servants. So if we spin the chessboard around, does that make it impossible for the culprit to be her, suspicious as she is? However, if that sort of argument always works, then motive can never help us in any way. No, that can't be right. Knowing the motive must give us powerful clues towards knowing the culprit. That's why murderers from all time periods disguise crimes in complicated ways, cleverly preventing their motive from being discovered. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Every time I spin the chessboard around, it keeps flipping from front to back and back to front. Are my thoughts bringing me closer to the truth? Or are they? What happened? We don't know the truth? Are we being punished for not knowing the truth? Aunt Ava didn't want to talk more than that, so I folded my arms and headed towards the window to cool my head off a little. Speaking of cooling heads off a little, I need to take a small break. I'll be right back. I need to get some medicine. My brain is splitting apart. It's splitting apart. Okay, we're back. Sorry for that little bit of wait. My head was really hurting, so I wanted to take a small, little longer break than necessary. I did start pretty late though, so it's 10:14 my time. I've been streaming for an hour and 24. The last 6 minutes are on break. Let's keep going to like the 2-hour mark. And we'll finish where we're at, and we'll probably call it a day. Let's look at it's so cold in here. Turning the vents off. Alright. Also, something special just happened. I just learned. Something very awesome. I just learned. I need to tell you guys. You hear? Yeah, listen. Fuck! I forgot the name. I have a blister. I have a blister. I have a blister on my toe. And exciting news. I just realized it. I was like, what's there something weird between my toes? I keep feeling it during the stream. It's like, oh, I thought there it is. It's a blister. There's nothing that serious. They'll go away soon. So it's very important information I just want to share with you guys. That's all. Aunt Eva didn't want to talk anymore than that, so I folded my arms and headed towards the window to cool my head off a little. As I looked over the parlor, I saw George and Nikki and the others gathering together, talking. It looked like they were talking about the magic circle that had been painted onto the shutter. As Uncle Hideyoshi thought back to the time, he started drawing the shape in the margins of Maria's notebook. I see. Since Maria was second only to grandfather in knowledge of the occult, she might understand what it meant.
多分こんな感じだったと思うで。
I think it was probably something like that.
十字架をアレンジしたみたいなマークが書かれとったんや。
There was a mark that looked like a variation of a cross.
そしてこんな感じで外周の円を取り囲むように
And then,
妙な文字がびっし
surrounding
り
the
書き
circle,
込まれていて、
all around the
十字
perimeter,
架の上下左右の辺とその四隅にも何か書かれていたんや。
were these closely packed strange letters on all 4 sides of the cross. And the 4 corners, there was something written.
アルファベットとかそういうのとちゃうで。
It didn't look like the alphabet or something like that.
あれはよく言う古代文字とか
It
いう
was
や
what
つ
they
や。
call ancient characters
あと円周部の頂点
around
に
the top of the
小さなマークがあ
circumference.
りましたな。
There was a small mark.
小さな丸を5つ十字状に並べ、それぞれを直線で結んだようなマーク
5
でした。
small circles arranged in a plus sign, and the strange lines connecting them.
ああ、確かにそんなのも書いてあったで。
There's definitely something like that drawn there.
うん。図形的には間違いなくこれ
There's
や。
no mistaking the shape.
細かい文字はわからんが、配列はほぼ同じや。
I don't understand the thin characters, but the arrangement was nearly the same. Everyone was staring down at the shape, so I stared down at it too. From what I heard, this had been painted on the shutter to the storehouse with some material that looked like blood. Could it have been blood? I see. This sure is unsettling.
こんなわけのわかんねえものを
Grandfather's
書きたがるの
probably
はじい
the
さん
only
だ
one
けだ
who
ろ。
wanted to draw something this weird.
まったくどこに行っ
Seriously,
ちまったんだ。
where did he go?
とっ捕まえて意味を聞き出してやりたいぜ。
I want to grab him and ask him what the hell this is supposed to mean. Jessica's voice contained impatience and anger. She hadn't gone so far as to say grandfather was the culprit, but she seemed sure that grandfather knew something about the culprit's background. Of course, if you were searching for a link connecting the Ushimiya family to the occult, 10 out of 10 people would think of grandfather. Also, to a person who knew nothing of the occult, this strange mark would have no meaning. which meant that this may have been something addressed to grandfather. That's right. And the reason the crying was shown to survivors was so they find this. In that case, where had grandfather, the essential representative of this message, disappeared off to?
こんな図形に何か心当たりはあるかい？
Does this shape ring any bells?
は
Oh, she's like her mind trying to think about it.
あ
Ugh. Maria looked at the shape with a serious face. Maybe she was enthusiastic because this was her area of expertise. However, her appearance was that of someone separated from the event at hand. As though this thing hadn't been drawn on the shutter closed around her mother's corpse.
僕の第一印象ではどこか外国の十字章に似た
My
デザ
first
インだなっ
impression
て思っ
was
たか
that
な。
the design resembled a German cross.
ああ、
Ah,
確かにこんなデザイン
it
や。
certainly does have that design.
ということはその
Does that mean it
ど
has
こぞの
something
国
to
と
do with
何
Germany?
か関係があるんか？
その国の十字章はもともと聖地巡礼者を守るため
The
の
German
騎
cross
士修道士た
was
ちの
originally
名
a
称だったそうです
crest
な。
from a religious order of knights and was supposed to protect pilgrims traveling to sacred places.
つまりこの魔法陣には
So,
宗教的な意味がある
In
ってこ
other
とか。
words, this magic circle might have some religious meaning.
ますますにちんぷんかんぷんだぜ。
This is starting to sound like gibberish. When I looked over at all of them, preparing to jump into the discussion, something shocked. What? Maria, sweetheart, I love you, but why are you standing so close to the camera? Please step back. Take a step back, Maria. It was almost as if she was making fun of everyone's ignorance. It was an expression I wouldn't have dreamed to find on Maria's face. And she laughed. That eerie, jarring laugh was something I didn't want to believe was possible, even though I was looking at it right in front of my eyes. Oh! What the? That was a weird little jump scare. I love that. Good job, Maria. Good job, sweetheart. Aw. Can I reach through the screen and give Maria a head pat? I want to give Maria a head pat. She deserves it.
全然違うよみんな
You people aren't even close.
こんなの見てわかんないかな
Can't you tell just by looking at it? While everyone's busy being scared out of their wits, Maria kept on cackling happily by herself. After a while, that laugh was suddenly and abruptly cut off. But her expression still looked like it belonged to someone completely different from Maria.
これは太陽の7の魔法陣だよ
This is the seventh magic circle of the sun.
書かれてる文字はヘブライ語
The characters are written in Hebrew.
貸して
Give it here?
ああ、
Sure, okay. Maria stole the written materials from the stunned Hideyoshi's hand. She then started drawing another magic circle with a rustle, right next to the one Hideyoshi had drawn.
ね
See?
こんな図形だったんじゃないかな
It looks sort of like this, right? Oh, that evil little smirk she's making! I love Maria! She's a cat! Yes,
そんな図形だった
it was. Maria? Incredible!
さすが詳しい
You
ぜ。
really do know a lot. Just gotta try to smooth things over by praising Maria. Maybe she wanted to confirm that this was still the Maria we all knew so well. But Maria didn't answer, in her way in particular. Maria began swiftly writing unfamiliar characters in the corners of the shape. When Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo saw them, their eyes immediately began to open wide.
天地と左右に書かれているのは風化水道を司る天使たちの名。
Written on the top and bottom and left and right are the names of the angels who preside over. I think start over. Written on the top and bottom and the left and the right are the names of the angels who preside over wind, fire, earth, and water.
カサン、アレル、フォルラク、そしてタリアハド。
Shazan, Ariel, Porla, and Thailand.
そして斜め四方には
And the four corners of the names are the four great kings.
アリエル、セラフ、タルシス、ケルブ。
Ariel, Seraph, Sashius, and Cherub.
合ってる？
Is that what you saw? Even if they hadn't been able to correctly write what they seen. When they were once again shown something identical, it wasn't difficult for them to realize the two were the same. When Maria asked them whether it matched, Uncle Hideyoshi and Dr. Nanjo nodded over and over again.
間違いない。
There's no mistaking
そう
it.
や。確
That's
かに
it.
こんな文字が書かれとった。
I'm sure there were characters that looked like that.
なんでこんなん書けるんや。
How are you able to write something like that?
あと演習文に
There
も文字が書か
are
れており
also
ました。
characters written around the circumference.
わかってるよ。
I know. Like this, right? Maria quickly began to surround the circumference with more Hebrew writing.
旧約聖書の詩編第116編の16節と17節だよ。
It's from the Psalms of the Old Testament, the 16th, and 17th verse of the 116th Psalms.
聖書くらい読んでなきゃ。
You must have at least read the Bible, right? Acting as though knowing this was only common sense, Maria laughed. For a while, everyone, including me, was at a loss for words. A little later, George and Nikki returned to his senses and slowly managed to speak.
すごいね。
This is
驚いたよ。
incredible. I'm surprised.
それで
So,
この魔法
what
陣に
meaning
は
does this
どんな意味があるんだい？
magic circle have?
太陽の力を借りる魔法陣だよ。
It's a magic circle to borrow the power of the sun.
黄金で描き、護符にして身につけたる者はいかなる牢獄であろうとも、
He
束縛から逃れ、自由を得られる力を授けられる。
He who wears it as a talisman drawn in gold shall be able to break free from the bonds of any prison and receive the power to gain freedom.
束縛から逃れ
To break free from bonds
自由を
and
得
gain
られる
freedom?
意味深だぜ。
It sounds deep.
この束縛という意味は何も肉体的なものだけを指さないと解釈されている。
The word bonds is not limited limited in its interpretation to some kind of physical object.
だから縛られて牢屋にいる人ばかりに意味があるわけじ
It
ゃ
does
ない
not
よ。
only hold meaning for people locked up in an actual jail.
しがらみや逃れぬ運命など精神的な束縛からの解放も意味してるんだよ。
It can also refer to the release from mental bonds, such as ties of obligation into inescapable fate.
しがらみや
Ties of obligation and
逃れ得ぬ運命。
inescapable fate, you say.
これまた意味深だ。
That's also pretty deep.
しかしさっ
But
ぱりわから
I
ん。
really don't understand.
それとあの6人の遺体とどんな関係があるっちゅうんや。
What does this have to do with those 6 bodies?
束縛からの解放どころか、
Far from being
殺された上
released,
に倉庫に閉じ込められてたんやで。
they were killed and stuffed in a storehouse, weren't they?
別にその6人のために魔法陣が描かれてるわけじゃないね。
It's not like the magic circle was drawn for their sakes.
魔法陣のために6人はそこにい
The
るんで
six
しょ。
of them were there for the sake of the magic circle.
お気の毒だよ。
It is truly pitiful.
どういう意味だい？
What do you mean?
魔法陣のために6人がいるってのは一体。
What in the world do you mean when you say the six of them were there for the sake of the magic circle? Maria lifted up her pointer finger and waggled it as if she were making fun of us.
それは演習部に書いてるよ。
And that's written around the circumference.
読めないかな。
Can't you read it?
詩編第116編
Psalms,
16節と17
chapters,
節。
Psalms, chapter 116, verse 16 and 17.
読んであげるよ。
I'll read it for you.
主は私の枷を解かれました。
The Lord has freed me from my chains.
私はあなたに感謝の生贄を捧げ、主の皆を呼ぶでしょう。
I'll offer to you the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call on the name of the Lord.
ね。
See? Oh, Maria read the Bible! Good job, little Maria. She's just a smart girl. See, you say.
何を言ってるのかさっ
I
ぱりだぞ。
got no idea what you're talking about.
生贄だ
You're saying
ってのか。
they're human sacrifices. If what Maria had just read out loud was a vital part of the magic circle, then it was saying that sacrifices had to be offered in order for this magic circle to be effective. So, human sacrifices had been offered inside the storehouse, where the magic circle had been drawn. A heartbeat later, everyone else seemed to reach the same conclusion. Some people were shocked and others spat at what this was insane as they punched their knees. This was starting to get incredibly disturbing, and we couldn't accept it or understand it. I don't care what kind of magic circles or curses other people believe in. I won't pick a fight with them. But did they really kill Dad and the rest of sacrifices for crap like that? I couldn't stand that feeling. Compared to this, I preferred it when we were all so disgusted by the theory, the fight over the inheritance. As I started getting pissed off with a feeling between anger and sadness, I broke from the circle everyone was in and returned once again to the window. Something had gone insane since yesterday. There was the letter from the witch Beatrice that Maria had read aloud last night's dinner. Ever since that point, it felt like like this whole mansion and this whole island had been getting more and more firmly locked in some kind of bizarre world. That's right. When I think back on it, that letter was an invitation from the witch. The ruler of the nighttime island had invited us inhabitants of the day into another world. The phone and the radio had been interrupted, and the island was shut off by the typhoon. So you really could call this place another world, cut off from the real one by now. Yes, as this island is now, it's perfectly normal for a witch to send us letters and for human sacrifices to be offered for the sake of the magic circle. So, what will happen next? Will some weird people wearing goat masks start doing the Bond festival dance or something? You're not far off, buddy. You're not far off. It's hopeless. It's hopeless. I don't get it. The inside of my head's all screwed up and I don't even know what to think. Anger, sadness, the opposing emotions all swirled up together and they started to suck me in. Unable to resist, I could do nothing but cover my eyes with my hands and thrust my mind and body as I started getting sucked in. I love that first time you see Maria go her little creepy moments. As I started losing my heart, I began to recall a memory from when I was small. It was from when I was very young. I had fortunately seen a scary occult movie on TV, and for a while I hadn't even been able to go to the bathroom by myself. That old bastard gave an exaggerated laugh and said this.
なあバトラ、
Hey, Butler,
どうして悪魔だのオカルトだのってのをわざ
why
わ
do
ざ
you
こう
think
して
they go
映
to
画にすると
all
思
the
う？
trouble to make movies like this about demons and the occult and such?
ねえからだよ。
It's because they don't
そんな
exist.
滑稽なもんは地球のどこにもねえのさ。ねえからわざわざ見たくて
Something
作るん
like
だよ。
that ridiculous can't be found anywhere on this planet.
だから俺はオカルト映画なんてちゃんちゃらおかしくて笑っちまうってんだ。
Because they don't exist, people want to see them and go to a lot of effort to making them. That's why those occult movies just make me laugh.
俺に言わせりゃ、悪
They
魔や
were
ら
forced to
妖怪やら
choose.
より、今年度の収支報告や機嫌を
I
悪くした
say,
女房の方が
rather
1億倍
than
も怖えってもんだぜ。
demons and monsters. This year's earnings call and angry wives are 100 million times scarier.
さらに言うぜ。
I'll go
俺に言わせ
further.
りゃな、
Okay?
怖がるってのは
From my point of view,
心と生活に
the Jedi
ゆとりの
evil.
ある連中の娯楽的感情なのさ。
Being scared is a reactional emotion. Something for people who've got room to relax both in their hearts and their lifestyles.
暇で暇でしょうがないから。連中は変わった感情で心を遊ばせたくて、
They had so much free
オ
time.
カルトだのって文化を
They
作
didn't
り
know
出
what
した
to
んだ
do
よ。
with it. So in order to entertain their minds with unusual emotions, people start creating a culture with demons and the occult and stuff. Okay, black bars. Seriously. Why have I been acting so damn thick-headed? I was totally taken in. Don't try to mess with me. This is a human world. I don't give a damn about witches, demons, magic circles, and sacrifices. The human who killed Dad and the others else is still on this island. That's all there is to it, right? The next person who started speaking in my heart was Kiri-san.
チェスや将棋ってね、
You see, in both the chess and shogi,
終盤の終盤、詰めの最後の段階に入れば入るほど最善手は限られてくるのよ。
when you reach the very last stage of the game and get closer and closer to cornering your opponent, the number of optimal moves you could possibly make gets smaller and smaller.
だから自分が追い詰めている、
Therefore, if you are backing someone against the wall,
あるいは追い詰められてい
or
るという
if
そ
someone's
の
doing the
時、
same to you,
両者の手は限りなく読みや
both
すくなるのよ。
players' moves become infinitely easier to read.
つまり完全に追い詰められて打つ手なしって思ったその時こそ
In other
最
words,
も読みやすい瞬間なのよ。
when you're completely cornered and you think you have no moves left, that is the moment where it's easiest to read your opponent.
でも主勢に立った人間は
However,
どうしても考えが硬くなって
when a person
相
is
手の手を
forced
読むことにま
into
で
a
考えが至らない。
defensive position, they can't help but lose their ability to think clearly, so they aren't able to get their minds around their opponent's moves.
そういう時はね、
That's when you
チェス盤をひっくり返
spin
すの。
the chessboard around. With all my strength, I slapped my face with both hands. I can't do it. I thought he was about to do it, but I can't. My head's gonna explode if I do that. Battler, I'm not badass like you. Now my eyes were truly open. When you don't understand anything and you completely cornered just like I am now, isn't that the perfect time to spin the chessboard around? While on the defensive, we can't even guess the culprit's scheme. if we spin it around and look at it that way, just what might we see? Just what might we see? First off, at the time the culprit committed the murders, they knew the island was being cut off by the typhoon. Therefore, they should have understood that even if they carried out the murders, they wouldn't be able to get away early the next morning. In short, the culprit had begun without securing a way to escape. Furthermore, that bastard tossed the corpses in the storehouse. Even then was even kind enough to say, "Here they are," with that weird bit of graffiti. In other words, since we probably find the corpses sooner or later, they wanted to show them off to us. If we all been dim and hadn't noticed the source shed, the culprit's goal would have not been achieved, would it? If you think about it this way, that bastard of a culprit. Since this morning, they must have been watching our every move with bated breath. After all, if we hadn't been so kind to discover what was on the storehouse, all that hard work and preparation they did last night would have all just gone poof. What did the culprit want to make us feel by showing us the corpses in the storehouse? All 6 of the bodies had their faces noticeably destroyed. Was it a grudge? A warning? The defacement of the bodies have occurred after death. So it hadn't been by the means by which the culprit had been. So it hadn't been the means by which the culprit had killed. It didn't mean anything to those who had been killed. It did have meaning to those who found the bodies. The culprit wanted to make it appear that they had been killed so brutally. After thinking this way, I really wanted to tell that bastard to stop taking me so lightly. Who just dance to the tune? If you're told, "Please be scared," you can't just say, "Really? Sure thing." When someone tells the great Ushimiya battler, "The entrance is right here," I'm the kind of guy who'll start wanting to sneak in through the window. The next thing that had me concerned was that so-called magic circle on the shutter. As Maria, who had shown her knowledge of the occult, rivaled grandfathers, who had recognized that magic circle was genuine. They must have drawn that thing in pitch black darkness, taking a lot of time and holding an umbrella in one hand. Isn't that the amount of hard work and perfectionist impressive? What purpose would have been worth all that effort? If we were looking for a fan of the occult in this mansion, most likely all of us would naturally suspect Grandfather. Did they want to make us think Grandfather was involved? But if that's all they wanted, they could have just drawn any old scribble that looked like a magic circle. It wasn't like any of us amateurs would be able to tell the difference between genuine and fake. However, this magic circle was genuine, and furthermore, it had been written in Hebrew. So this magic circle had a message that can only be understood by someone with knowledge of the occult. A message is a form of communication. By sending it, they were hoping for a reaction. A reaction? For some reason, we couldn't find Grandfather now. I don't know how Grandfather might respond to this magic circle on the shutter. But did he choose to hide himself in reaction to that? No. Was it a trap to make us suspect that Grandfather had participated? You could read it either way. Damn, that's annoying. What kind of reaction was the culprit hoping to get out of us by putting on this occult show? Somehow that felt like the culprit's weak point. Hello, Cox! Hello, Cox. How are you doing tonight, sir? The letter from Beatrice and Maria I read aloud during last night's dinner sprang back into my mind. This was a freak who asked us to enjoy a battle of wits. And that's all that's all Umineko right there. Isn't that interesting? This is a battle of wits between us and the witch. Will be sucked up by her occult game first, or will be put off by her fake skin first. There's a whole day until the typhoon passes. Why not enjoy ourselves? Okay, done with that scene. But hello, guys. Yeah, how are you doing today? We had an awesome day today. I actually got very productive. I finished the first chapter or first episode just of my thing, so that was good. Gonna probably start chapter 2 tonight or tomorrow morning, whether depends on what I get done. And what else did I do? What else did I do? Oh yeah, so I get back to streaming more regularly now. The supposed inspection or the apartment people were gonna do passed. That wasn't real inspection. The guy just changed the air outside. So a lot of hard work making the house look clean went to nothing. Oh, it had to be done. You know, it's good. It has to be done, but so annoying. But yeah, that's good. So we can get back to streaming. Get back to doing that. God, I remember I have to go back to watching the Mayfair show. It's a bad show. But I'm re-listening to the audiobook for the novel, The Witching Hour, and that is still good. It's not my favorite Anne Rice story, but even at her worst, Anne Rice is like perfect. I loved her. I love her. So sad that she passed away. Let's go back. So got hour 57. Let's do one or two more scenes and we'll call it a night. I finally noticed that the inside of the parlor had gone quiet again. Everyone had sunk into their favorite sofas, some deep in thought. Some irritated, some acting depressed. Maria was once again enjoying the TV as if she never left it. It looked like she found the commercials more fun than the boring program, and she happily yelled, and giggled. I stared at each person's appearance in turn. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. I never read any Anne Rice. I saw Interview with the Vampire, though, so I'm pretty sure an expert on all things Anne Rice. Yeah. Well, the original movie from 94 is actually pretty close to the book. Like, it does take a bit in chunks of it, but it's actually a really good interpretation or adaptation. It so sucks that the Queen of the Damned was so awful. I mean, Aaliyah saw it in a drive-in. Oh, that's been fun as in a drive-in. But then again, you can't really get fun out of that movie. Yeah, did you see Queen of the Damned? I think that's the first Anne Rice property I ever watched. I didn't even know it was based off a book. I did. How do you like Queen? How do you like it? Because it's a fun movie, like by itself. But if you know the source material, it's Oh boy, it's bad. It can like that can easily be counted as like one of the worst adaptations, book to film ever made. Also because they squeezed book 2 and 3 to make that movie, and because they couldn't get Tom Cruise or anyone else back from the first movie, it just didn't feel like a sequel, which is supposed to be. I still have weird thoughts. I enjoyed it, but it felt a little bit meandering at times. Yeah, it's kind of the point. Because I won't talk about it too long because I could get all about Anne Rice or like all those stories. But the interview with the second book, The Vampire Lestat, and the third book, Queen of the Damned, are two completely different beasts. Most of the Vampire Lestat is about Lestat's backstory, about how he came from a crappy noble family, how he became the vampire, and his 10-year journey before he met Louis in the first book. The Queen of the Damned is a whole bunch of interconnecting stories about Akasha waking up, her backstory, how vampires came to be, Lestat's weird relationship with her, her basically saying, "Yeah, you're my boy toy, but you pissed me off. I'm gonna kill you and all your friends." Like it's two completely different stories that don't really mesh well when you try to do that together. And because they put so much focus on the rock star aspect, is worse because that rock star aspect was just what's the word I'm looking for? It's just like a piece of the modern part story. Like Lestat's epic concert that they built up to in the movie was literally just part of the last chapter and was never brought up again. Like it's not that important to the plot. Yeah, the story's just awful. Aaliyah was great. It was just nothing but a backdrop to how Lestat was loving the modern times, and that was about it. And also, it's much different because the book takes place the year it was came out, which was '85. So Lestat was more like kind of like hair metal, maybe. Like he was an '80s rocker. He wasn't emo early 2000s metal, which actually fits the character so much better. I will. The soundtrack was good. That's one reason why I feel so weird about the new show, the interview with the vampire show. It's like it's so different from the books, but it feels, it still feels like Interview with the Vampire. Like it's not like, well, I'll go back to Marvel for a second. It's not like She-Hulk where you can tell the people who making the show don't give a fuck about the source material, never read the source material, or outright hate the source material. The Interview with the Vampire show, besides all the changes they did to the source, it actually feels like they cared about it. It felt like they wanted to make alternate reality or something. Like I never feel like I'm being mocked because I'm a fan of the original, and that's why I give the show a pass. For other shows who do a lot of changes like it, other changes like it, I would probably hate with a passion. Yeah, but the show though is really good, especially Sam Reed as Lestat. Besides a few character changes that I despise, he is so good as Lestat. Like I think Tom Cruise had the overall energy of the character good, but Sam Raimi, he brings a lot of those little ticks to Lestat from the books that there wasn't in the original film. Also, he just has a good French accent, and he looks like how the character is described in the book as well. Yeah, Tom, he was awesome, his makeup and everything, but he was too tiny for Lestat. Lestat's supposed to be kind of built. But the other show that I was talking about, the Mayfair Witches, it's just an awful show. The book isn't that the book wasn't bad, but it was disappointing from what I would say from reading the vampire novels. Let's get back to this before I have some more time. Okay. I stare at each person appearance. Bumble my words. Let me get. There's some water. Oh, I decide. All the way down here, so we'll get it for you. I stare at each person's appearance in turn. If there isn't a 19th person, the culprit must be in this room. Oh. Who could it be, guys? Who could it be? Dr. Nanjo, Hideyoshi Eva, Maria, Jessica George, or maybe even Battler. Maybe Battler has a little split personality action going on here. Right now, Aknasui's reaction. Right now, Aknasui's searching the mansion with the servants. Right? Then we shouldn't say hi. Then we shouldn't say in this. Then we shouldn't say in this room. In this mansion is where the culprit it has to be. After all, it's possible Aunt Nasui was behind this. And we still can't deny that one of the servants might be the killer. Anyone could be guilty. Still, Aunt Nasui and the rest sure are taking their time. Of course, it's not a small mansion, but isn't this taking a little too long? Just to walk around, checking the windows and doors? Just as I was thinking this, Aunt Nasui and the rest returned. No, not one of them was missing, but our relief was short-lived. Everyone looked at Aunt Nasui in shock. The talk I had with Aunt Eva started to creep back into my mind. The possibility that the culprits had enough in numbers or weapons to kill all those 6 at once. Oh God! She's packing. And the text works with it. Forgive me if I startled you. I knew she had the gun. I remember she got the gun, but I forgot it was right here. At least she had proper gun etiquette. She's not just holding it around. Forgive me if I startled you. I brought this to be prepared for the worst. After all, that thing in Aunt Nasui's hand was a rifle. Hey, that's a rifle? I'm not really a gun person, but isn't that more like a shotgun? At a glance, its silhouette looked like a hunting gun. But it was usually short and kind of looked like a kid-sized weapon. However, it had a weightness to it that made it clear that it was no kid's toy. That gun is Kinzo-san's, isn't it? Did you know about it? That's right. I remember it was in Father's old collection. I managed to find it. Oh! Awesome! Natsui-san! Is that the real thing? Yes. It's real. It can fire live ammunition. Long ago, Father used it to scare away the wild birds. Ah, that takes me back. Where did you find that thing? No matter how much I asked him to let me touch it, he never let me lay even one finger on it. Oh. Grandfather had one of those? I didn't know that.
お父様は昔
Long ago.
西部劇にどっぷり使ってたことがあってね。
Grandfather was really addicted to cowboy films.
あの世代はこういうライフル銃が大好きなのよ。
That generation really liked this kind of rifle.
結構年季の入った銃のようですね。
Is that Winchester?
でもこんな短い仕様のは初めて見ました。
But I never seen one of those short before.
ああ、思い出したわ、その銃。
I remember. It's that gun.
懐かしいな。昔好きやった映画のガンマンが
It really takes me
派手
back.
にぶっ放しとったやつだわ。
That's the one Steve McQueen fired off at Wanted, Alive or Dead. Steve McQueen. Oh no, Steve McQueen. He's a famous actor in the past, wasn't he? Was
お
he?
父さんも渋いな。
Father has such a good taste.
親方様がだいぶ昔に
It is an item the master orders
アメリカよ
specifically
り
from
特別
America
にお取り寄せになられた
long
もので
ago.
す。ご覧の通り実銃ですので、
As you can see,
この
It is
件
a
は
working
ご
gun.
内密にお願いいたします。
so please don't tell anyone about this.
手に入れられたばかりの頃は大層気に入られておりまして、
He was quite fond of it right after he managed to acquire it.
撃つより薬莢を出す動
It
作が
seems
面
the
白いらし
workings
く
have
て、
been ejected
裏の森でいろいろ
The
とかっこつ
cartridges
け
were
て
more
遊んでおられ
interesting
た
to
もん
him
ですよ。
than shooting it. And he played around with it back in the forest all the time.
しかし物騒
Still,
ね。
it's rather disturbing.
そんなものまで持ち出しちゃうのかしら。
Are you sure you should be dragging this out?
万が一に備えてです。
This is to prepare for the worst.
族はおそらく一人ではないでし
There
ょ
are
う。
probably more than one offender involved.
しかも主人たちを6人も殺した恐ろしい相手です。
Furthermore, those horrible people killed 6 of us, including my husband.
私には主人に代わって皆さんを明日まで守る義務がありますので。
I have a responsibility to protect everyone until tomorrow, in my husband's place. As Natsuya-san said this, she slumped down into one of the sofas and took a deep breath. She had been trying to find grandfather, as well as check the doors and windows. Since grandfather wasn't with her, she probably still didn't know where he was.
屋敷内の戸締まりは厳重に確認してきました。
I carefully checked all the doors and windows through the mansion.
ですが万が一ということもあります。
We must be prepared for anything.
みんななるべくここに一緒にいた方がいいでしょう。
I think it would be best if we all remained here.
そうね。
Oh, good point.
ここに全員が集まって相互監視をしている方が
If
安
everyone's
心だわ。
gathered here, then we can all feel more secure by keeping an eye on each other.
それはどういう意味ですか？
What do you mean by that, Ava-san?
別に
Nothing really.
夏日姉さんの意見に賛成しただ
I'm
け
just
よ。
agreeing with you. You're agreeing with your opinion, aren't I? There's a stormy atmosphere between the two of them. If you think about who has the most suspicious from the inheritance problem standpoint, Aunt Ava was the obvious answer. However, there was no proof that Aunt Nasui was innocent. No, if you view Beatrice's letter as one of grandfather's complicated pranks, and think of this crime as just an extension of that, there's more than enough reason to suspect even grandfather. Also, Aunt Nasui thought the criminal was on the outside. But Aunt Ava thought the criminal was on the inside. In short, it was a question of whether or not a 19th person exists. That same question had been repeated endlessly since last night's dinner, with the letter from the witch who called herself Beatrice. So, was the culprit among us? Or not? And did the witch Beatrice exist? Or not? if you assume that something as stupid as witches can exist. Witches aren't stupid, Battler. Mean. You're basically saying that one of these relatives here, who share a common bloodline, is the culprit. If that was too unpleasant, it'd be much more comfortable to simply accept the fairy tale-like creature of the character of the witch. A witch. A witch drawing a bizarre magic circle and offering a human sacrifices. If I could accept that rubbish, I'd be able to trust all the people in this room. However, damn common sense got in the way. But it kept repeating that witches don't exist. In that case, the culprit must be among us. In the middle of the seemingly endless rain, none of us could break the silence. Ah, chapter break. We're at 1 o'clock, I think. Hopefully. I'm bad at reading the analog clocks. I know it's a bad thing. Don't be mean to me. I tried fixing it, but I kind of lost it. 2:15. Should we stop now? I think it'd be a good... Yeah, I think probably good to stop right here. So let's... Oh, the portrait, the witch's letter. Do we have any more notes? It'd be cool. I want Maria's little circle back. I'd love to read her note. Beatrice the Golden. Oh, the characters have all been blocked out, the ones who died. Oh. All their faces been smashed in. Ushimiya Cross. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. The direct cause of death is unknown, but it seems the side of his head was smashed after death. This is the beginning of everything. Ushimiya Rudolph. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. His face was seen to be smashed after death. He has a right to limit his ill fortune. Ushimiya Kire. She was chosen by the demon's roulette. That's all there is to it. Ushimiya Rosa. I'll get to see her again, so I don't feel lonely. Oh, what the fuck? Ushimiya Rosa. Her corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. Her face seems to have been smashed after death. I'll get to see her again, so I don't feel so lonely. Shannon. Her corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. It seemed the side of her head was smashed after death. Don't worry, everyone. We'll be revived in the Golden Land. Servant Goda. His corpse was found inside the Rose Garden storehouse. His face seems to be smashed after death. How unfortunate. Apparently he was originally supposed to be on duty in the guest house. So, what about Kenzo? Okay, so Kenzo isn't having blood on him, but he's still in gray. What does he say? Ushimiya Kenzo disappeared from his study unnoticed. Kenzo's study has everything from a bed to a toilet to a bathtub, so it's extremely rare for him to go outside. However, he does occasionally go out for a walk on a whim without telling anybody, and his disappearance invariably leaves a huge uproar throughout the house. he usually comes back as soon as he gets hungry. Usually. Do everybody else have these little weird little notes on them? Who is saying all these things? Oh, it's Boba Maria, because Rosa's daughter, her father's identity is unknown. She can't shake off this habit of speaking like a young child, which often earns her a scolding. She has no interest in studying or making friends, but is very interested in things occurring concerning the occult and black magic. Thanks to her excellent powers of memorization, she knows all kinds of obscure trivia. Aw, that's so cute. Just like Maria. Alright, so let's save. Well, the loading screen is blue, right? Okay. Let's call that for now. Let's pull the screen back up. I forgot to change this. I haven't streamed in a minute, so this all was left. Yeah. Should I change this back? I'm loving the theater aspect though. I really do love it. Mute that. Just mute the timer. Let's pull back. Should I use the Halloween background? You go use a Halloween background. I love it. I love it. Or where is? Where are you? So I can turn you off. We'll get this in a second. It's important that I fix it now. See, there we go. And I can move myself. Where's my body? There's... No, it's wrong buttons. I keep hitting the wrong things all the time. What's wrong with me? I'm a failure! A failure! Yeah. I'll probably change this back to the old one that I normally use, but I'm loving this. It looks so cool. But yeah, that is it for tonight. Thank you for coming by. Thank you, Cogs, too, for a little chat. And definitely check out the interview with the Vampire Show when you have time. It's a fantastic watch. Also, I hope the move was good. I just remembered. You were moving last time we talked, right? Or you just finished moving? One of those. It was one of those. Alright, though. I'm going to go away. I'm going to go away and never come back till, like, I don't know, sometime soon. One of the two. And I have things to write, things to tweet, and I must prepare for tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. Tomorrow it's Thursday, so let's do it. Make it a Higurashi Thursday. I'll make it a Higurashi Thursday. We'll do that on Thursday. Then on Friday and Saturday, we're probably gonna play an actual game, not just reading, but an actual game. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do Dead Space and something else. Maybe Blair Witch. I had to finish one of those games. But I want to play something action-y. So maybe Spider-Man, but I don't know. I'll have to choose. We'll pick. But yeah, I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, or morning, or evening, or daylight savings. Have a good one of those. One of those, alright? And we will meet each other tomorrow. Love you all. Bye-bye.